That, Wolf, we've seen a pattern now for 2 decades of terrorist attacks orchestrated by the Iranians and the Quds Force in particular. They've orchestrated attacks in other capitals. They are obviously their exports of the most lethal IEDs into Iraq killed young Americans. They are supporting terrorist organizations like Hamas and Hezbollah. They are trying to orchestrate events in Bahrain as we speak, and also meddling in Afghanistan. So there's a long pattern here of attempts to exert Iranian influence in the region and around the world. And the thing that surprises me very quickly is, one, the ham-fistedness of it, because they're usually pretty efficient in these activities, and second of all, to think that they could get away with it. And that's kind of disturbing when you think about it.
But do you have a good understanding of why they would want to kill Ambassador Adel al-Jubeir here in Washington, presumably, as this indictment says, at a restaurant, and a lot of Americans could have been killed in the process?
Well, there's the competition and tensions in the region between the two countries, Saudi Arabia and Iran, has been there for a long period of time. I mean, good evidence of that is Bahrain today, but there is across the board competition and tensions between the two countries, and the Iranians view Saudis, and particularly their money, as a great impediment to their ability to exert their influence in the region. And they want that, and they're willing to obviously do whatever they can to achieve it. And by the way, what about when they get nuclear weapons, Wolf? They probably wouldn't launch one at the United States, but don't you think there's a great risk that they might provide a nuclear weapon to one of these terrorist organizations that they support?
So what do you think the United States should do about all of this right now?
I think the president should go on national television and tell the American people, give them the chronicle of the acts of terror that the Iranians have carried out, their interference in other countries, their responsibility for the deaths of young Americans. And then I would do probably what the president is doing. I'd call General Petraeus, our new director of the CIA, over to the White House and others and say, what kind of covert activities can we engage in here? What can we do? And frankly, I don't know what they are, but I certainly would be exploring those options, and of course going to the UN for the sanctions against their central bank, so that anybody who does business with the Iranian central bank cannot do any business with us. Probably maybe expecting more from Russia and China in the way of strong action in the UN. And it's obvious that the Iranians need to be disciplined before they achieve nuclear status, in my view.
Here's what surprises me, Senator, and I'll let you weigh in before we move on to some other subjects. The Saudi reaction, or should I say lack of reaction. They haven't severed diplomatic relations with Iran. They still have their ambassador there. They haven't, as far as I can tell, other than issuing a statement, done anything in terms of the commercial relationship, the economic relationship. They haven't done anything, assuming they believe this U.S. allegation that the Iranians wanted to kill their ambassador here in Washington. Does this surprise you at all?
A little bit, but you know, the Saudis do business in different ways than we do. For example, they are financing a lot of activities in the region which are directly counter to the Iranian ambitions, and they have engaged in other operations which would cause discomfort or difficulties for the Iranians in the region. So, you know, it's a very kind of a Byzantine situation over there, but I am sure that they are contemplating some kinds of actions.